afternoon. It's Wednesday, August 5. It's a rainy Wednesday. I'm Mai Rodriguez for your midday report. We'll be giving you the stories shaping the nation at this hour. In the headlines, Senator Ronald Bato Dela Rosa is still in the country, according to his camp, as his lawyer denies reports of his arrest. Defense counsel Michael Poa under scrutiny in the impeachment trial as a possible conflict of interest issue is raised. The latest on day 13 later in the show. Inflation slows to 6.2% in July, marking further easing in price growth. Signal number 2 now hoisted in several areas in Luzon as Tropical Depression Maymay intensifies. Most classes in Metro Manila are also now suspended. And Senator Ronald Bato Dela Rosa remains in the Philippines. This, according to his legal counsel, Israelito Torion, amid reports circulating online that the senator had already been arrested. Speaking on BNC's The Spokes, Torion said the risks would be higher if his client were to leave the country. Dela Rosa is the subject of an International Criminal Court arrest warrant over allegations of crimes against humanity linked to the Duterte administration's drug war. The senator, who's been in hiding for nearly 3 months, is named as a co-perpetrator in former President Rodrigo Duterte's ICC case.
Kasi nga, nandito pa siya sa Pilipinas. I would like to believe na nandito pa siya sa Pilipinas. Kasi last discussions namin, na nasabihan niya ako, former PNP chief yan, matalino yan. O mas mahirap daw kung aalis kasi may mga information merchants, may mga, what's it called this, yun ang sinabi sa kanya.
I-disclose.
Oo, i-disclose. Ang term, information merchants, no?
Napaka-polite na term nun.
Oo nga. So, mas mahirap yun. Tsaka, yung other countries kasi, they also have higher intelligence mechanisms and systems by which they can actually track any and all visitors. And such are, can never be prevented to be transmitted here in the Philippines. So, mas mataas ata ang kadelikado kung aalis ka sa bansa.
Torion also said Attorney Jimmy Bondoc's online post was unrelated to any alleged arrest. He added that reports about Dela Rosa's supposed capture could instead be an attempt to locate the senator. The palace describes as a diversionary tactic rumors of Senator Bato Dela Rosa's supposed arrest. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro says the reports were intended to shift attention away from the issues raised by the Commission on Audit in Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment hearing. Castro said the social media posts by Attorney Jimmy Bondoc and Harry Roque, both known allies of the Duterte family, lacked context and surfaced while the impeachment court was examining COA findings on the alleged unliquidated and questionable use of confidential funds by the Office of the Vice President and the Department of Education. She urged the public to verify the source of information and consider the possible motives behind those spreading such claims. Back on the witness stand, former COA Auditor Roderick Wamil faced another round of questioning from Senator judges as the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte entered day 13. Among the issues raised, the use of acknowledgement receipts, code names, and the scope of the COA's audit validation. Dexter Ganibe joins us live from the Senate. Dexter, anong latest?
May tahimik ang mga COA circular kaugnay sa paggamit ng mga aliases o code name sa liquidation ng mga acknowledgement receipts para sa confidential fund ng alinmang tanggapan ng gobyerno. Yan ang inihayag ni COA Auditor Roderick Wamil sa pagtatanong ni Senator Judge Bam Aquino. Paliwanag ni Wamil, walang probisyon sa Joint Memorandum Circular 2015-01 na hindi pinapayagan at wala rin namang probisyon na pwede ang paggamit ng mga code name sa mga resibo. Sa pagtatanong naman ni Senator Judge Kiko Pangilinan, inamin ni Wamil na sa kanyang pagiging auditor ng COA, first time niyang maka-encounter sa isang liquidation na puro acknowledgement receipts o AR ang isinumiting basihan ng paggasta ng 125 million na confidential fund sa huling quarter ng 2022. May mga ibang tanggapan naman niya ng gobyerno na nagsusubite ng mga AR pero hindi 100% na AR lang dahil may mga kasama ding official receipts na ibinibigay. Nilinaw naman ni Wamil sa pagtatanong ni Senate President Win Gatchalian na hindi kasama sa kanilang audit ang pagtukoy kung alias o code name ang mga pangalan na nakalagay sa mga AR dahil focus ng kanilang audit ay kung valid o hindi ang mga resibo.
Nung sinabit sa inyo itong mga acknowledgement receipts, may mga pangalan nga nasabi ng ating mga senador. Vinalidate nyo ba kung itong mga pangalan na ito ay totoo o hindi?
Hindi po, Your Honor, kasi hindi po yan yung focus po ng audit namin.
So sa inyo, sige, go ahead.
Since what we do po is compliance audit. So ang naging focus po namin ay yung expenses po na based on the face of the acknowledgement receipts as well as yung date kung kailan binayad as well as yung amount po. Since binavalidate po namin siya based on the requirements of the Joint Circular 2015-01.
Binavalidate nyo ba kung yung pangalan ay totoong tao o hindi?
Hindi na po kasi hindi po yun yung focus ng audit po namin, Your Honor.
Samantala, nakatakdang ilahad mamaya ng defense panel ang kanilang tugon sa motion ng panel of prosecutors na judicial notice. Ang motion for judicial notice ay may kinalaman sa hiling na pagtanggap sa impeachment court ng mga ebidensya at testimonya sa mga isinagawang pagdinig ng Quadcom at Justice Committees ng House of Representatives.
But I don't think it will go to the extent of an oral argument pa, hopefully. Judicial notice kasi is that under the rules of court, merong mga dapat ay hindi mo na kailangan i-authenticate, hindi mo na kailangan i-introduce ng witness to introduce yung mga documents na yun because that the court can just take notice that such thing exists, such thing happened, no?
Giit pa ni POA na may mga rules naman tulad ng mga batas at yung mga naging aksyon na ng legislative o ng impeachment court na pagbabasehan para mas mapapabilis pa ang trial proceedings. May balikan ko lang yung kaninang isinagawang interjection ng mga senator judges dahil lumabas doon sa pagtatanong ni Senator Tito Soto na higit sa 70 million pesos dun sa 125 million pesos na confidential fund noong fourth quarter ng 2022 ay mayroong observations na nangyari o nakita itong COA, itong si Wamil. Doon naman sa pagtatanong ni Senator Ping Lacson, sinabi niya, nag-manifest din siya sa open court na baka napapanahon na para mabago o maamyandahan itong Joint Memorandum Circular 2015-01 kaugnay nga dito sa pagsasubmit ng mga acknowledgement receipts at paggamit ng mga aliases at code name. Mai?
Dexter, linawin lang natin, so yung defense, they are opposing na payagan sa impeachment court ang mga evidence at testimonies na nakalap during the Quadcom at Justice Committee hearings. Bakit daw at hindi ba admissible ang mga ito?
Sa ngayon, Mai, wala pang categorical na sagot ang depensa kung papayag ba sila doon sa motion para sa judicial notice dahil sabi ni Attorney Michael Powa, hintayin na lang daw yung kanyang magiging pahayag sa open court ngayong hapon, pagkatapos siguro maya-maya dahil isinasalang na ngayon itong pangalawang testigo ng prosekusyon mula sa COA. Pero nakikita natin ba na matagal na rin niyang sinasabi na hindi nga sila nakadalo doon sa House Justice Committee hearing, maging doon sa Quadcom, kaya most likely ang magiging depensa nila dyan, hindi na nila mako-cross-examine kung sino man yung mga nagsalita doon na hindi pa pabor sa kanilang kliyente. Mai.
Dexter, balikan ko lang din yung testimony ni Wamil. So malinaw na walang resibo to prove na ginastos ng maayos itong confidential fund, particularly yung 125 million noong 2022, so sa liquidation report nila. So doon pa lang may discrepancy na?
Oo, yun ang lumalabas doon sa naging testimonya nga ni Wamil kanina at napalabas nga ni Senator Tito Soto na higit kalahati ng 125 yung questionable. Pero may mga senators din na nagtanong na maari pa namang magbigay o punan kung may kulang doon sa mga resibo para makumpleto nila. Pero titignan natin kung ano ang magiging reaksyon na dito ng depensa sa kanilang mga hakbang sa mga susunod na pagdinig. Mai.
Maraming salamat, Dexter Ganibe, nag-uulat ng live mula sa Senado. The questions did not stop with the prosecution witness. Defense counsel Michael Poa also faced scrutiny after his participation in a 2023 meeting where the audit of confidential funds was raised. This prompted questions of a possible conflict of interest. Hannah T. is monitoring the trial. She joins us now live, also from the Senate. Hannah, go ahead.
My defense lawyer Michael Poa's participation in the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte was questioned. This is after his name surfaced in a testimony about a 2023 meeting about a less formal co-audit process sought by senior officials, including him, for the OVP and the DepEd's confidential funds. Senator Judge Raffy Tulfo asked whether Poa's role as defense counsel presented a conflict of interest, since co-auditor and witness Roderick Wamil testified that POA was among the officials who attended a meeting requesting an audit query instead of an audit observation memorandum, or AOM, should audit issues arise. AOMs are issued when deficiencies on use of confidential funds are observed by the COA. But presiding officer Cheese Escudero ruled that no conflict of interest exists. Let's listen in.
Hindi po pa conflict of interest yun para siya ay mag-represent dito ngayon sa natin, pinag-uusapang confidential funds, when in fact, siya mismo pumunta doon sa COA office para makipag-usap sa kanila. What do you think, Mr. Presiding Officer?
The respondent in this case, Senator Judge Tulfo, is the Honorable Vice President Sara Zimmerman Duterte. Attorney Poa, although he served under the office of the Vice President, I believe, and even under DepEd, is not a named respondent to this case, and in fact is one of the lawyers, as you can see, of the respondent. There is no, I believe there is no conflict with respect to that, given that he is not the one in trial in this case.
Okay, I rest my case, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Poa earlier confirmed he attended the meeting but said he was mostly a bystander, adding that the discussion primarily involved the OVP and that they believed an audit query could first be used to clarify issues before an AOM was issued. Poa said COA later informed them that such a procedure is not practiced in government audits and maintained that VP Sara never sought an exemption from COA review, but only clarification of the audit process. Also in the said 2023 meeting was VP Sara's Chief of Staff, Attorney Zulaika Lopez. Poa is among the defense lawyers of the VP and also cross-examines the witness Wamil on the allegations of misuse of confidential funds against the Vice President. Mai?
Now, was the COA able to determine whether the names appearing in the acknowledgement receipts were real people?
May katunayan, makailang beses siyang tinanong doon sa impeachment trial ngayong araw, pero sabi ni Attorney Roderick Wamil, hanggang doon lang sila sa audit observation o yung pagbusisi kung meron bang supporting documents na pinrovide itong OVP at DepEd. At wala na raw silang ginawang investigation or audit observation rather when it comes to the individuals mentioned doon sa acknowledgement receipts. Kasama dyan, si Mary Grace Piatos ay indeed true or existing individuals. Mai?
Hannah, so may hamon ba na ipresenta si Mary Grace Piatos at ano ang reaksyon ng depensa dito?
Yes, Mai, and according to defense lawyer Michael Powa kanina, kasi natanong din siya ni Senator Judge Bam Aquino kung ito bang mga na-mention doon sa acknowledgement receipts kasama si Mary Grace Piatos ay mga alias ba o mga totoong tao. At sabi naman ni Powa, as much as gusto niyang sagutin yan, meron daw silang inilaan na ebidensya para dyan na maaaring ipresenta doon sa impeachment trial. Yan yung aabangan natin kung ano yung magiging hakbang ng defense team ni VP Sara kaugnay ng existence ni Mary Grace Piatos. Back to you, Mai.
Thank you, Hannah T, reporting live from the Senate. Attorney Tranquil Salvador III, who served as a defense lawyer during the Corona impeachment trial, says the alleged misuse of Vice President Sara Duterte's confidential funds has yet to be established in her impeachment trial. Speaking on BNC's On Point, Salvador said the prosecution has so far presented only certain facts and circumstances. He also stressed that the release of confidential funds to the office of the Vice President was not illegal. But the key issue is whether the funds were properly disbursed and used as intended. The alleged misuse of confidential funds is one of the articles of impeachment against the Vice President.
Kasi nga, to establish this based on the joint circular, dapat may liquidation, meron din siyang accomplishment report. Kung hindi mo ito mapakita na talagang naigamit yan for a particular purpose, nagre-raise na siya kaagad ng concern eh. Di ba kaya sinabi nga nila, pag hindi mo napakita yan, it may raise a prima facie evidence about its misuse. Hindi nangangahulugan na absolute, liliwanagin ko. Hindi nangangahulugan absolute, certain, kaya nga prima facie. Kung hindi nila mapapabulaanan, using your word, kung hindi nila mako-contest ito, then that prima facie evidence will stand.
The former president of the Integrated Bar of the Philippines refutes claims that confidential funds are exempted from state scrutiny. On BNC's memo, Attorney Domingo Cayosa said that confidential funds have long been abused by government officials due to false audit exemptions. He emphasized that regardless of their classification, whether confidential or intelligence funds, both are public funds and remain subject to auditing.
Yung akala o yung sinasabing ang confidential fund, confidential hindi pwedeng usisain, mali ho yun. That's a myth that should be debunked. Kahit o confidential or intelligence fund, public funds pa rin yan at hindi exempted ho yan sa audit. Yung confidential fund, yung intelligence fund, matagal na ho yung inaabuso ng mga nasa gobyerno. Dahil nga, nagtagumpay sila dun sa pag-propagate ng myth na dahil confidential yan, intelligence fund, hindi pwedeng ma-audit.
The mystery surrounding Mary Grace Piatos may soon be addressed as the House prosecution confirms she's one of its potential witnesses in the impeachment trial of VP Sara Duterte. Kumuha tayo ng detalye mula kay Isaiah Mirafuentes live mula sa Senado. Isaiah, go ahead.
Yes, may kinumpirma nga mismo sa atin kanina bago magsimula ang trial ngayong araw ni House Lead Prosecutor at Batangas Representative Jervy Luistro na kabilang sa list of witnesses ng prosekusyon para sa Article 1 of Impeachment o yung misuse of confidential funds si Mary Grace Piatos. Kung matatandaan natin sa naging pagdinig noong Lunes at nakakahapon, kabilang nga si Piatos sa mga tumanggap ng pera o pumirma sa acknowledgement receipts na nagkakahalaga ng 70,000 pesos. Mismong si Private Prosecutor Atty. Lorna Capuna na nagsabi kahapon na ipapasabpina niya si Mary Grace Piatos. Ngunit ayon kay Representative Luistro, depende pa yan sa magiging takbo ng trial. Pero naniniwala siya na mahalaga ang magiging testimonya ni Piatos. Yan ay kung may sisipot man.
To fully establish that there's no such person as Mary Grace Piatos, although we understand the same was certified already by the Philippine Statistics Authority, right, during the proceeding in the Justice Committee.
Matatandaan na ayon sa PSA, walang taong nagngangalang Mary Grace Piatos. Kung alias man ito, dapat nakadeklara sa COA ang tunay niyang pagkatao. Walang nabasag ang defense kung no, walang nabasag ang defense sa mga evidence yesterday and even last Monday.
Wala. Kasi ang liwanag naman ng testimony ni Atty. Wamel, if you will revisit the video, his testimony, isa lang naman yung buod nun eh. Irregularities, inconsistencies, non-compliance with the joint circular.
May naitanong din natin mismo sa prosekusyon kung paano yung mangyayari kapag binayaran ni Vice President Sara Duterte yung notice of disallowance na ibinigay sa kanyang opisina ng COA. Ayon mismo kay Atty. Ligutan na isa sa mga private prosecutor, nothing will change. Tuloy ang impeachment dahil may pananagutan daw ang bise sa maling liquidation na ipinasa ng kanyang opisina. Mai.
Isaiah, so magkano ba yung notice of disallowance o halaga na ipinababalik sa bise?
May base dito sa dokumentong ibinigay sa atin mismo ng isa sa mga prosecutor ang halaga o total amount ng notice of disallowance na natanggap ng opisina ng bise ay umaabot sa 448 million pesos. Kung pagbabasihan mo itong dokumentong nakuha natin, para sa huling quarter ng 2022, ang halaga ng disallowance ay 73 million, habang naman sa taong 2023, yung tatlong quarter ay tigwa 125 million pesos. So kabuuan nga umabot ito ng 448 million pesos. At kung matatandaan natin, yung naibigay, yung kabuuang naibigay na confidential funds sa Office of the Vice President ay umaabot ng 612.5 million pesos. So kung titingnan, kaunti lang yung bahagi ng pondo na ito yung masasabing maayos na na-liquidate ng opisina ng bise. Mai.
Isaiah, so if ever na ipatawag itong si Mary Grace Piatos, kilala na ba siya ng prosecution?
May according to Attorney Lorna Capuna, siyang tumayong presenting officer nung Lunes at kahapon, ang sabi niya sa atin, hindi raw nila kilala si Mary Grace Piatos. At ang paliwanag niya, kung sakali man na maghihiling sila sa Senate Impeachment Court na maglabas ng subpoena, ipadadala raw nila ito sa Office of the Vice President. At ang kabila nga sa gusto nilang mapatunayan dito kung bakit gusto nilang ipasubpoena si Mary Grace Piatos ay para mapatunayan na wala talagang totoong tumanggap ng pera na mula sa confidential funds at posibleng nagamit lamang ito sa pansariling interes. Mai.
Maraming salamat, Isaiah Mirafuentes, live mula sa Senado. Up next, the country's inflation cools down to 6.2% in July. We break down the numbers when Midday Report returns. Stay with us. You're back on Midday Report. The search continues for Senator Ronald Bato Dela Rosa. This as the DILG denies claims that the senator, who's wanted by the ICC, has already been arrested. Kumuha tayo ng update mula kay Ryan Redoban. Ryan, go ahead. Ryan?
May pinabulaanan ni Department of the Interior and Local Government o DILG Secretary John Bicrimulya ang kumakalat na ulat sa social media na naaresto na umano si Senator Ronald Bato Dela Rosa. Sa isang ambush interview, nilinaw ni Rimulya na walang katotohanan ng naturang impormasyon at wala pang naipatutupad na pag-aresto laban sa senador. Ayon sa kalihim, nakikipag-ugnayan na ang DILG sa Department of Justice at iba pang law enforcement agencies upang maberipika ang sitwasyon ni Dela Rosa. Iginiit din ni Rimulya na dumarami ang mga maling impormasyon at fake news na kumakalat sa social media. Kaya mahalagang tiyakin muna ang pinagmumula ng impormasyon bago ito paniwalaan o ibahagi. Batay sa pinakahuling impormasyong natanggap ng DILG, sinabi ni Rimulya na nasa Mindanao pa si Senator Dela Rosa. Binigyan din pa ni Rimulya na kung sakaling maaresto ang senador, agad itong ipapaalam sa publiko sa pamamagitan ng opisyal na anunsyo ng pamahalaan. Pakinggan natin Mayang kanyang tinig.
We're always open. We're always transparent naman kung ano nangyari. No, hindi kami ganun. Wala kaming secret operations na hindi malalaman ng mga tao. We were always transparent with what we do.
Samantala, tiniyak din ni Remulla na sakaling maaresto si Senator Dela Rosa, igagalang ang kanyang mga karapatan at paiiralin ng due process alinsunod sa mga umiiral na batas. Anyang anumang hakbang ng mga otoridad ay isasagawa sa legal at wastong pamamaraan. Ang puganteng senador ay hinahanap ng mga otoridad matapos maiulat na may inilabas na warrant of arrest laban sa kanya kaugnay ng investigasyon ng International Criminal Court o ICC sa madugong kampanya kontra illegal na droga noong administrasyon ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. Itinuturing si Dela Rosa bilang isa sa mga pangunahing opisyal na nagpatupad ng war on drugs noong siya pa ang hepe ng Philippine National Police o PNP. Mai?
Remus, marami ang nag-point out this manhunt is taking so long at isama na rin natin dyan yung pagtugis sa ilan pang most wanted, like sila Zaldico, Harry Roque at Atong Ang. Ano ang reaksyon ng DILG at iba pang mga ahensya dito?
May tama nga. Alam mo, May, yung ambush interview kanina kay DILG Secretary Remulla ay sumentro talaga kay Senator Bato de la Rosa. Pero bahagi ng kanyang mga pahayag ng interview ay iginiit ni Remulla na tinatrabaho ng pamahalaan ang panghuhuli o pag-aresto sa mga hinahanap na pugante ng bansa. Mai?
Maraming salamat, Ryan Reloban, nag-uulat. The PDP Laban holds a political forum as the group highlights its plans for party development and address issues ahead of the upcoming special election in Cavite following the expulsion of former lawmaker Kiko Barzaga. Jill Sebandal is on the line for the details. Jill?
May kapihan sa PDP with Duterte-aligned personalities and party officials featuring expelled Dasmariñas Representative Kiko Barzaga as guest panelist. The discussion centered on the continued growth of the PDP, its commitment to public accountability, and the pursuit of justice as part of its core principles. Also highlighted during the forum was the launch of the PDP Academy, a new initiative designed to develop and prepare aspiring candidates through leadership training, good governance, and party formation. According to party officials, the Academy will establish a structured development program consisting of basic, formational, and advanced cadre levels to strengthen the knowledge, values, and leadership capabilities of its members. Under the program, members will be required to undergo formal training, screening, and evaluation process before the elections and prior to receiving the party's official endorsement as candidates. Mai Barzaga also responded to questions regarding the upcoming special elections, saying he will actively campaign for his mother, the incumbent mayor of Dasmariñas. And during the forum, he renewed his criticism to the current administration, alleging that the corruption continues to plague the government. And he further took aim that the House of Representatives describing it as a crocodile farm, a remark he used to accuse some lawmakers of prioritizing personal and political interests over the public service. His comments added to the series of strong political attacks raised during the discussions and are likely to intensify political debates as the special elections approach. Mai?
Jill, isa si Senator Bato de la Rosa sa mga miyembro ng PDP Laban. May opisyal na pahayag na ba ang PDP tungkol sa mga kumakalat na balita na naaresto ang senador?
May ayon kay PDP Laban Chairperson ng Membership Committee at dating Assistant Secretary at Supplemental Naik, hindi umano totoo ang mga ulat na naaresto na nga si Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa dahil ayon sa kanya ay kung totoo ito, knowing that this government agad daw umano itong ipagmamayabang at ipapaalam sa publiko at yun pa sa kanya, dagdag niya, na posible umano itong inuugnay sa issue sa nalalapit na deadline kaugnay nga sa nakabinbing petition for certiorari ng Supreme Court. Ayon kay Pimentel na maaari daw itong nilabas daw na usapin dahil sa pangamba na posible din daw pagbago ng liderato sa Senado o kaya naman ay maaari daw pakanaumano ito ng kampo ni na Senator Tito Soto. Pero gayon pa man may nililinaw ni dating ASEC Astra na ito daw ay kanyang personal na teorya lamang. May?
Maraming salamat, Jill Sebandal, nag-uulat. Philippine inflation eased for the third straight month in July, but higher electricity prices continue to put pressure on many households. Let's break down the numbers with Che Sulit reporting live from Ortigas. Che, go ahead.
Yes, Mai, price pressures are seemingly easing for consumers, with inflation showing signs of slowing down. The Philippine headline inflation eased to 6.2% in July from 6.4% in June. This marks the third consecutive slowdown of the overall inflation rate after surging to 7.2% in April, linked to the effects of the Middle East war. Based on the latest print from the Philippine Statistics Authority, the downtrend was primarily driven by the slower annual increase in the prices of goods and services in the transport sector. Other drivers include slower price increases in education services as well as in the restaurants and accommodation services. However, food inflation remained steady at 5.3% as rice inflation accelerated to 17.1% in July from 15% in June. This was particularly felt for the bottom 30% income households, where inflation quickened to 8.2% in July. The biggest contributors for high inflation for the bottom 30% income households include faster price increases in food and non-alcoholic beverages, as well as housing and utilities.
Then there's one commodity na talagang nagmo-move ng inflation rate para doon sa bottom 30% income household, and that is the price of rice. Sa all income, ang weight ng rice, ng bigas, ay nasa 8.87%, mga 9%. On the other hand, doon naman sa bottom 30% income household, ito ay nasa 17.8%, about 18%. So parang doble ang weight.
Electricity prices were 17% higher in July compared with the same month last year. The PSA recorded electricity inflation rate at 17%, a three-year high since March 2023. As for core inflation, which excludes selected food and energy items, the PSA recorded a slowdown at 4.2% from June's 4.4%. DepEd Secretary Arsenio Balisacan said the slowdown shows that government interventions are helping ease the impact of high prices on Filipino households. He added that the government will continue targeted measures under the Uplift Committee, including fuel assistance, food supply programs, and long-term power sector reforms. Last month's headline inflation falls within the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas forecast range of 5.6% to 6.6%. However, July inflation remained above the BSP's 2 to 4% tolerance band, while the January to July average stood at 5%. Economist Jonathan Ravella said the slowdown is a positive sign that price pressures are easing, which could support consumer spending and give the BSP more room to consider policy easing if the trend continues. However, he warned that higher inflation among the bottom 30% is also a social equity measure, as it erodes the purchasing power of vulnerable Filipinos and risks widening the gap between higher and lower income households. That's the latest from my end here in Ortigas. Back to you, Mai.
Thank you, Che Sulit, reporting live from Ortigas. Sustex 2026 brings together industry leaders to promote sustainable solutions and build a more climate-resilient Philippines. Remus Macasero is joining us from Taguig for more. Remus?
To equip the country's crucial industries against climate and economic disruption, the 2026 Sustainability Expo, or Sustex, officially opened at the SMX Convention Center, Aura, in Taguig. The event was spearheaded by SM through SM Prime Holdings and SM Supermalls, in partnership with the Department of Science and Technology and the Arise Private Sector Alliance for Disaster Resilient Society, guided by the team Bayanihan Innovation for a Green and Resilient Philippines. The multi-sector showcase is focused on three key areas: an enhanced circular economy, energy innovation, and disaster risk reduction. DOST Secretary Renato Solidum Jr. also called for stronger measures to reduce food waste. Mai, he reminded the public that true sustainability demands accountability in both the production and consumption of our resources. Meanwhile, SM Supermall's Vice President for Operations Engineer Junius Eusebio emphasized the importance of social equity, stressing that green innovations must not be limited to Metro Manila, but should be accessible to millions of Filipinos nationwide. Sustex aims to connect industry leaders and decision makers to scalable, sustainable solutions, empowering not just full-scale nationwide businesses, but also micro, small, and medium enterprises. With over 50 exhibitors and 40 speakers, Sustex 2026 stands as a nationwide platform fostering multi-sectoral collaboration, ensuring a more resilient and future-ready Philippines. Mai?
Thank you, Remus Macasero, reporting to us from Taguig. Indigenous groups are raising concerns over revised rules on community consent for projects affecting their ancestral lands. Ivy Reyes joins us from Malacanang for more information on this. Ivy, what can you tell us?
Yes, my 18 tribes from northern to southern Philippines held the State of the Indigenous Peoples address today, August 5, in condemnation of the revised guidelines for the free, prior, and informed consent, or FPIC. For the benefit of our viewers, the FPIC is a safeguard recognized by the United Nations and a right of Indigenous communities to either consent or deny activities undertaken in their lands. Under the UN, an FPIC must be sought by any corporation or entity with ample time and sufficient information given to the community before consent is given. Now, the Legal Rights and Natural Resources Center, or LRC, has flagged several risks in the revision, including what they claim to be shortened consultation periods and limited participation of community members. Under this revised guidelines, which have not been published yet, although they've already been approved last May, the LRC says projects are classified into 4 categories with different and varying consent procedures. One category, for example, the localized impact activities, which include mineral exploration and quarrying, only require recognized leaders or elders of a tribe to provide consent. The organization now asks, will the NCIP have control over who is recognized as leaders and elders of a tribe? The tribes also protest against the shortened decision gap because, according to the LRC, the category of large-scale industrial and energy projects only give ancestral communities 30 working days to decide. The 18 tribes present today, hailing from South Cotabato to Buntok province, said this is not just a cultural issue, but a larger breach of their constitutional right to self-determination. The groups fear that the new FPIC guidelines will allow more corporations to enter their lands more easily, as the revision favors corporations more than local communities, according to the tribes. Cultural dance and prayer started and ended the ritual action of these tribes, who unanimously agree that development must not come at the cost of hampered Indigenous rights.
Thank you, Ivy Reyes, reporting from Malacanang. Coming up, a Russian drone chases a street vendor in Ukraine before exploding in an attack that Kyiv calls a human safari strike against civilians. More world news, plus the latest in sports and the weather when we return. Stay tuned. Let's check the weather as storm signals are raised over many areas in Luzon due to Tropical Storm Maymay. Joining us via Zoom, BNC resident meteorologist Benison Estareja. Benison?
Meron po tayong update, Ms. Mai, regarding dito kay Tropical Storm Maymay. As of 10 in the morning, it was located at 185 kilometers west-northwest of Pacnotan, La Union. It has maximum sustained winds of 65 kilometers per hour near the center, gustiness up to 80 kilometers per hour, and moving northward at 10 kilometers per hour. So kasalukuyan po nasa may West Philippines ito, but later on, hanggang sa gabi, inaasahan po yung unti-unti niyang paglapit dito po sa kalupaan pa rin ng Northern Luzon. So maaari po siya maglandfall sometime mamayang late evening or bukas ng madaling araw dito sa may Ilocos Sur or La Union. And then afterwards, babagtasin po nito ang natitirang bahagi ng Ilocos Region, Cordillera Administrative Region by tomorrow morning, and possibly pagsapit po ng tanghali hanggang sa gabi, nandito na siya sa may Cagayan Valley at posibleng humina na bilang isang low pressure area, knowing po na nagkaroon na ito ng interaction po sa kalupaan. So sa ngayon, meron pa rin tayong babala or wind signals. Number 2 naman po ngayon sa Ilocos Sur, northern and central portions of La Union, and then sa northwestern portion of Pangasinan, southwestern portion of Abra, and then ang western portion of Mountain Province, and northwestern Benguet. Habang signal number 1 naman over Ilocos Norte, rest of La Union, rest of Pangasinan, Apayao, rest of Abra, Kalinga, rest of Mountain Province, Ifugao, rest of Benguet, mainland Cagayan, Isabela, Quirino, and Nueva Vizcaya, at signal number 1 din sa northern Zambales, northern Tarlac, northern Nueva Ecija, at northern and central portions of Aurora. So in the coming hours, we're expecting some strong winds, lalo na doon sa mga may areas na merong wind signal number 2. As for the rainfall, possible po yung pinakamalalakas sa ulan within the next 24 hours over La Union and Benguet, kung saan posibleng umabot sa more than 200 millimeters for 24 hours. Ito po ay posibleng malalakas na mga ulan na magkakos po ng mga widespread na mga pag-ulan, pagbaha at landslide sa mga mountainous areas. And other areas pa, dito sa may northern and central Luzon, possible po yung more or less 100 millimeters of rainfall. For Metro Manila, 50 to 100 millimeters. So posible pa rin mag-cause yung pabugso-bugsong ulan. Ito po ay dulot ng southwest monsoon, northern and central Luzon dahil kay Maymay, but Metro Manila, Southern Luzon, including Calabarzon and Mimaropa, more on southwest monsoon po tayo that's slightly being enhanced by bagyong Maymay at yung si Typhoon with international name. Dolphins sa labas ng park.
Benison, so marami ang nagulat, biglang mayroon tayong bagyo ngayong araw. So ito bang si Maymay, matagal pa siya dyan sa may Northern Luzon, ano? It seems stalling. So at ang ibig sabihin ba nito, maulan pa rin bukas at sa Biyernes?
Yes, by tomorrow po, we're expecting na nandito na siya sa may Northern Luzon. As early as morning, tumatawid na po ito sa kalupaan, so may tendency na hindi na siya magiging tropical storm, maaaring tropical depression na lamang. And later tomorrow ay maging low pressure or tropical depression sa umaga and then low pressure area sa hapon at sa gabi. Pero hindi natin tinatanggal yung possibility na magpapatuloy pa rin po yung mga pag-ulan over the entire Northern Luzon. Habang southwest monsoon naman, we're expecting na magpapatuloy pa rin yung effect po nito dito sa may Central Luzon, for Metro Manila, and Southern Luzon, pagsapit po bukas. At tuloy-tuloy na po yan hanggang sa weekend dahil itong si bagyong Dolphins sa labas ng par, siya po yung mag-i-enhance naman ng kapatid.
Naku, hanggang weekend pa pala itong ulan. Maraming salamat, BNC resident meteorologist Benison Estareja. More local government units across Metro Manila have suspended face-to-face classes today as persistent rains continue to affect most of Luzon. In Manila, face-to-face classes from kindergarten to senior high school in both public and private schools were suspended. Schools have been advised to shift to alternative delivery mode to ensure learning continues. In Quezon City, afternoon face-to-face classes in public schools were also suspended due to the enhanced southwest monsoon and Pag-asa's yellow heavy rainfall advisory. The suspension covers child development centers, kindergarten to grade 12, and the alternative learning system. Afternoon face-to-face classes were likewise suspended in the Camanava area, that's Caloocan, Malabon, Navotas, and Valenzuela. In Parañaque, afternoon face-to-face classes at all levels in both public and private schools were also canceled. Local governments continue to urge residents to remain vigilant and avoid flood-prone areas and monitor official weather advisories as the southwest monsoon, enhanced by Tropical Storm Maymay, continues to bring rains over Metro Manila. Iran claims talks with Oman on shipping through the Strait of Hormuz are making positive progress. The discussions focus on creating safe maritime routes while protecting the sovereignty and security of both countries. Iran reportedly said the new shipping corridor would replace the current routes once it becomes operational. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio also said progress has been made, but no final agreement has been reached.
I think that there's a conversation and a negotiation that we are involved in between Oman and Iran on how more ships can be able to go through there safely in the short term as we move towards these longer term talks about denuclearization. And suffice it to say, there's been progress made in those talks, but not finality yet. We're hoping that will happen in a period short.
A drone attack on a street vendor in Ukraine has sparked fresh accusations against Russia over alleged deliberate strikes on civilians. Footage shows the drone chasing a street vendor in Kherson. It shows the drone swooping down on him and exploding on impact. The man survived the attack with shrapnel wounds, a concussion, and other injuries.
My wife started running, and it began turning at us. The car was right there. I was trying to show it like, look, it's just vegetables. There's nothing military here.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called the incident a human safari attack, a term used to describe alleged drone strikes on civilians in frontline areas. But Russia has previously denied deliberately targeting civilians in the war. In Spain, Ceuta's former military hospital has been converted into a morgue. In the aftermath of last week's migrant rush into the Spanish enclave, the hospital now houses the bodies of 75 migrants who died trying to cross the border into Europe. Their loved ones are now asking for information as authorities continue to take account of those who remain. Meanwhile, officials from the European Union are calling for tougher action against migrant smuggling networks and stronger return policies. The rush of 72,000 migrants from Morocco has triggered alarm across the bloc. The Philippines suffered a 1-0 loss to Thailand in the 2026 Hyundai Cup Group B match, dealing a blow to its ASEAN Championship semifinal hopes. Thailand scored the winning goal in the 84th minute, keeping it on top of Group B with 9 points after 3 straight wins. The Philippines remains at 3 points with 1 win and a draw. We need a big win against Malaysia to keep semi-final chances alive. The Philippines will face Malaysia on August 8 in Kuala Lumpur. Alex Ayala has proven she can consistently compete with the world's best players, not just pull off upsets. An analyst highlights her stunning wins over top names and said her aggressive return game has become one of her biggest weapons. Let's hear more from Anton Rojas.
Historic Mubadala DC Open title has not only established her as the first Filipina to win a WTA Tour title, but has also strengthened her position as one of the fastest rising stars in women's tennis. In an exclusive interview on BNC's The Scorecard, tennis head analyst Max Kilham said Ayala has changed the way the tour now looks at her after putting together a string of wins against some of the biggest names in the sport. Kilham said Ayala is no longer producing occasional upsets. Instead, she has shown she can maintain an elite level against the world's best.
I think Alex has now proven that she can be the very best on a consistent basis, that is. I'm not just speaking about Washington here. I'm talking about Wimbledon as well. I mean, prior to this summer, she was securing high-level victories over elite-level players, but it was more of a sporadic basis, really. But in the last month, we've seen her beat Iga Swiatek, Qinwen Zheng, Alina Svitolina, Naomi Osaka, and Jessica Pegula, and I think those victories speak for themselves, and she's really maintaining her level a lot better than she used to, rather.
Kilham believes Ayala's next target should be breaking into the top 16 of the WTA rankings before the US Open. He said Ayala has very few ranking points to defend during the North American hardcourt swing, giving her a strong opportunity to climb even higher. A top 16 seed would also keep her from facing one of the tournament's highest seeded players until at least the 4th round of the US Open. Kilham said one of the biggest improvements in Iyala's game has been her aggressive return of serve. He believes her ability to take control of rallies immediately after the return has become one of her biggest weapons against elite opponents.
Yeah, I completely agree with the statement. I do think she's one of the elite returners right now. The key with the return is just the aggression from Iyala's perspective. It is just front foot tennis constantly off the return. Even on the first serve when she's playing some of the biggest serves on the tour, we've seen it.
Iyala will continue her North American hardcourt campaign at the National Bank Open in Montreal, where she is scheduled to face American Alicia Parks in the first round today as she continues her build-up to the U.S. Open. Anton Rojas, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Heated rivalry fans have a new mission: keep the excitement high but the spoilers low. In an Instagram post, the production team behind the hit gay hockey series appealed to fans to respect the cast and crew's privacy if they happen to spot them filming. The team promised that the highly anticipated second season will be well worth the wait. Following its groundbreaking success, Heated Rivalry Season 2 was officially announced and is set to premiere in April next year. The series' global buzz has also propelled Hudson Williams and Connor Story to television and podcast appearances, a Golden Globes presenting debut, and the honor of carrying the Olympic torch. Get ready, Manila! Maroon 5 is heading back to the Philippines for its Asia 2027 tour. The Grammy-winning pop rock band is set to rock the SM Mall of Asia Arena on February 7. Tickets range from 4,000 to 29,000 pesos. Pre-selling opens on August 12, with general ticket sales kicking off on August 15. Fans can't wait, and that's the Midday Report. I'm Mai Rodriguez. See you again tomorrow at 1 p.m. Stay informed and stay safe.